Do you know me? I am the adversary, and this is my story. I am that little voice within you that makes you doubt, including doubting my existence. I am depression, anger, jealousy, worry, fear, false pride, and selfish behavior. I thrive on neediness and disappointment, negativity, and cynicism. But here's a secret I'm revealing for the very first time. No matter how low I have caused you to go, you have the power to turn it around. Satan, an autobiography, as told to Yehuda Berg. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ron's Library and Ideas. This is Ron speaking. Today we're going to be reading a chapter out of this book called Satan, an Autobiography. And what's interesting is I came across this book walking in Barnes & Noble, and I just saw the bookend, and I saw the title. I said, I wonder what this is about. And I'm glad I picked it up because, one of the things that holds us back is not being able to take accountability for our own actions. So I hope you guys can keep an open mind and listen to this story and see how it resonates with you. Remember, this is information. Do with it as you will. So it begins. Chapter 1. Pleased to meet you. Sympathy for the devil. Satan writing an autobiography? Is this some kind of bad joke? Are you really trying to tell me this is a book of non-fiction? Okay. I know you're suspicious to say the least, and you have every right to be. After all, as a child, you may have read tales of people selling their souls to me, or as a teenager, maybe you listened as the Rolling Stones describe my role at crucial moments in history, tipping the scales toward crucifixion, the Holocaust, and all the unspeakable atrocities people perpetrate in my name. Most likely, you don't even believe that I exist. After all, anonymity and deception have been part of my strategy since the very beginning. Your disbelief certainly works for me. If nothing else, it's proof that I've been doing a good job. But what if I were to tell you that whatever you think of me, or don't think of me, you're mistaken, completely off the mark? Just hear me out. The truth is that I'm very real and very powerful, and you and I are locked in a deadly struggle. What's worse, I'm winning. That much I'm sure you'll acknowledge. Just take a look around. Under my influence, you've turned this world into one hell of a mess. But here's what you don't know. Although I'm your opponent in this game of life, in the end, I'm just doing my job, and way down deep, I'm rooting for you to win. I'll explain, but what you need to know right now is that you've been playing so badly that I've got to bend the rules to help you out. I'm not who you think I am, and now is the time to set the record straight. Yes, I'm using this book to temporarily give up my most powerful weapon, secrecy. When you don't believe I exist, or you misunderstand what I'm up to, I win hands down every time. But as it turns out, this isn't good for either one of us. Why? Because it screws up the plan God set in motion a long time ago. Basically, you left the Garden of Eden. After that happened, God wanted to find a way for you to stop feeling so ashamed and to earn your way back. The only way to overcome shame is to choose to stop acting selfishly and to start giving, to be more like God. That's why God gave you free will without using it to make good choices. You can never earn your way back to the garden of endless light and fulfillment. But if this assignment proved too easy for you, you wouldn't have truly earned anything. And that's where I came in. God gave me the job of providing you with obstacles to overcome. By resisting the temptations I put before you, you can bring more and more light into this world until finally everything will become light as it was in the beginning. The problem is that I've done my job of opposing you a little too well, and you haven't done your job of resisting me well enough. As a result, we're falling behind schedule. I know. This is a lot for you to take in. So let's slow things down a bit. The origins of doubt. All those suspicious thoughts you're having right this moment aren't really yours. They're mine. I slip doubts into the gray matter that houses your mind. They originate from me. Deny it all you want, but I'm telling you, I'm planting that denial into your brain right now, even as you read these words. Have no doubt, I am real. And I am outing myself after millennia of covert activity. I am revealing myself to you because we are at a historic moment in the destiny of humankind. But while I'm spilling the truth in these pages, I also have to keep doing my job, which is to plant doubt into your brain with every truth I reveal. That's why from time to time, you will doubt every word you read here. That is part of the game. Why it works this way. People of every race can serve God on one condition. They have to believe. If you don't believe God exists, then how can you serve God? That's one limitation I don't have. You do not have to believe in me in order to serve me. Let that sink in for a moment. Now think about this. If you did believe in me, the real me, you would never, ever serve me. Ironic, isn't it? That's why doubt is my very essence. It's not a philosophical statement. It's how I rule. Cynicism is my life force. Skepticism is the marrow of my being. My power to rule over you thrives in disbelief. Brilliant, isn't it? You don't perceive me with your five senses, and it is your disbelief in me that gives me the power to influence this physical universe and control the hearts and minds of humankind. If you saw the movie The Usual Suspects, you're familiar with the following line. The greatest trick the devil pulled was convincing the world he doesn't exist. Where do you think that line came from? Actually, I first slipped it into the mind of one Charles Baudelaire, the poet who lived in 19th century France. Baudelaire wrote, "The devil's greatest deception is to convince us that he does not exist." Funny thing, though Baudelaire channeled this profound statement into his writings, he did not believe in me. He said as much, and the paradoxical logic of his own statement troubled him deeply. Does this surprise you? The power of disbelief. Of all the writers, poets, and philosophers that have written about me over the centuries, 99% of them got it wrong. Once in a while, I've let a few facts slip through the cracks to see if you would catch on. Only a select few ever have. French author and Nobel Prize winner André Gide had an inkling when he wrote this about me. He is never so well served as when he is unperceived. The old Frenchman also wrote, "It's always to his interest not to let himself be recognized, and there, as I said, is what bothers me. To think that the less I believe in him, the more I strengthen him." Dead on. I thrust skepticism into your rational mind to sustain my existence. I inject you with so much disbelief that it courses through your veins, floods your brain waves, and permits me to live unfettered behind a curtain of doubt. And here's the kicker. To seal the deal, I make you believe these doubts are yours. Why? As long as you believe it's you, I remain invisible. As soon as you believe in me, it's game over. Get it? Doubt is not just a trick performed by the devil. It is who I am. Identity crisis. All these years, I've let you think that you have ownership of the opinions and beliefs that rise in your mind. You are far more than your thoughts, but you hate giving up the idea that you're special, that those thoughts and ideas are uniquely your own. You don't distinguish between the two voices at work in your head, my voice and God's. You only hear my loud, limiting voice and all the negative thoughts that accompany my cacophony. And when you give in to my temptations, you think you've lost. Cause and effect. I keep you focused completely on the effects, but never the true cause. Consider me the greatest special effects artist in history. You love watching all the special effects I display in the movie that is your life. And that's exactly what your life is. It's a movie with drama, suspense, fear, a few moments of comedy when I'm in a good mood, and lots of tragedy. Your life is what it is because you don't bother searching for the unseen source behind everything that transpires in your life or this world. At long last, the time has come to reveal my presence, to step out from behind the curtain and remove my mask. My real story has never been told, but I will tell it today. The need for putting God's plan back on track is urgent, and with your help, that transformation gets jump-started right here. The pages that follow will make my true identity and purpose crystal clear. Am I worried about revealing myself? You're kidding, right? The moment you close this book, the truth of who I am will begin to fade from your mind. But I'm hoping that even a glimpse of what's really going on can help restore things to their proper balance. It can give you the tools you need to play more effectively in this all-important game we know as life. I cannot let you know me permanently. Never. I will not permit you to fully grasp the totality of who I am or the depth of my role in your universe. I'll plant the seed that this book is just a gimmick. An autobiography by Satan is just a creative device. Norman Mailer tried his hand at it. Others will follow. Nifty idea, but nothing that's going to rock my world. Feel better now? Comfortable with your conclusions? Great, let's get on with my story. What's in a name? First, let's clear up a misconception about the word Satan. Check the history books. Satan is not my name. Surprised? Don't be. I'll explain. Is Picture the name of Sandy Koufax? Is Love the name of Mother Teresa? Is Center Iceman the name of Wayne Gretzky? Is Shooting Guard the name of Michael Jordan? Is Midfielder the name of David Beckham? Is Industrialist the name of Charles Michael Schwab? Is Singer the name of Mariah Carey? Is Emperor the name of Julius Caesar? No, these are not names. They're job descriptions. Same with Satan. It's not a name. It's a role I play in the game of life. Look in the Old Testament. Unravel an ancient Torah scroll. Inscribed on a parchment is the first ever appearance of the word Satan in the history of literature. It's a Hebrew word. Translated accurately, Satan means adversary. The Old Testament actually says Ha-Satan, which means the adversary or he who opposes. In Zechariah 3:1-2, it reads, Then he showed me Joshua, the high priest, standing before the angel of the Lord, and the Satan standing at his right hand to oppose him. And the Lord said to the Satan, The Lord rebukes you, the Satan. The Lord who has chosen Jerusalem rebukes you. Is this not a brand plucked from the fire? When the Bible speaks of Satan, it's talking about an opposing power. Me. I am the antagonist in the movie of your life. I'll reveal the reasons behind this in due time. Patience, my friend. Never a strong point of yours, I must add. The movie I speak of takes place in your head. The world around you is a mega IMAX screen, so to speak. And I am the only antagonist in the history of dramatic acting who is never seen or heard. I am invisible, even though I am everywhere. Such extraordinary magic, such dazzling sleights of hand. It's funny, because we think that in order to be an actor in the physical world, you need a big ego. Well, I create the ego, yet ironically, when I'm playing my role, no one sees me perform. Now, if this is starting to sound very strange, relax. As we roll through history, it would all begin to make sense. Unmasking the devil. The most important thing I'd like you to realize at this stage is that there is no such thing as a devil. No such thing as a demon. At least not in the way you think of it. So, who caused all this misconception? Why does the entire English-speaking world use an ancient Hebrew word, Satan, to inaccurately identify me? Why not just use the correct English translation and call me the adversary? Chapter 2. Once upon a time in the universe. The beginning of everything. This is my story. However, when I explain my origins, you'll also learn something about your own. Let's first tackle creation and the origins of this universe. Wouldn't you finally like to know where you really come from and what you're doing here? We're going to have to travel back, way back, to the beginning of it all, to the beginnings of all beginnings, long before Sir Isaac Newton in the Renaissance, before the Knights Templar in the Middle Ages, prior to the Prophet Muhammad teaching in Mecca, before Jesus walked the Holy Land, before Siddhartha founded Buddhism, before Moses stood on Mount Sinai, and before Abraham discovered the unity underlying all reality, even before I seduced Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. I'll explain that episode later on. In fact, we've got to go back some 15 billion years ago and then roll back even more just before the Big Bang and the notion of time popped into existence. This is where the real story begins. I could write volumes explaining the birth of the universe and the emergence of life on Earth, but I will dispense with all that. Real truth should be able to be reduced to a simple tale understood by all. What follows is a story of all stories told in 3 short acts. Act 1. Once upon a time, before the creation of the universe, there was an infinite positive force of energy that you folks had a habit of calling God. This energy filled all reality. There was nothing else besides this energy, this light. Act 2. One fine day, God decided to share all his light, which consisted of love beyond love, bliss beyond bliss, and joy beyond joy. But there was no one with whom to share. So God created a being to act as a recipient, to receive the goodness that God wanted to give. This being of receiving was one giant soul, which encompassed what would later become all the individual souls of humanity, even yours. This being was the vessel. Act 3. God filled the vessel with infinite happiness, whereupon both God and the vessel lived happily ever after. Well, not quite. A funny thing happened. For one brief moment during Act 2, right before happily ever after was achieved, an extraordinary event occurred. What happened? Not much, really. Only the development of the cosmos, including the entire history of human civilization up to and including the present moment, as well as all the events that will transpire tomorrow, leading up to the final destiny of the world. From our perspective, that's a lot. But from the perspective of God, it transpired in less than a blink of an eye. What follows is a concise account of what took place and what is taking place right now. It is also the story of my life. All right, and this brings us to the end of chapters 1 and 2. On this channel, you guys, I always want to present information to you guys that will help expand your mind and introduce you to some new concepts. I don't know if you're old enough to remember, but there were these old cartoons that would show like a character like Elmer Fudd, and he would have an angel on one shoulder and a devil on the next shoulder. And they would be trying to convince him to do something. The angel would be trying to convince him to do the right thing, and the devil would be trying to convince him to do the wrong thing. But what's key to remember in those cartoons is that the angel that was on Elmer Fudd's shoulder and the devil, they both look like him. He just had to choose, well, who am I going to listen to? And that's really what this all comes down to. Choices. What are you going to choose to do? Are you going to give in to temptation? Are you going to listen to that devil that's on your shoulder? Or are you going to listen to the angel that's telling you the right thing to do? I think, I can't say for certain because I'm not in everyone's mind. But let me speak for myself. I always know what the right thing to do is. I just don't always know if I should listen to that right thing or do what else is on my mind. It's like a game of cause and effect. Like a giant chess game. You got to pick. The last book I read on this channel was Nathan McCall's Makes Me Want to Holler. Go check that out on the playlist that I have. The whole book is on there. And what you'll find is Nathan made choices in his life, and he had to suffer through the consequences of those, or to reap the positive benefits of the consequences of his choices. He started off making pretty good choices, then he started making very poor choices, and that led him to a lot of trouble. But when he decided to start making better choices, to start doing better, when he decided to do that, that's when his life improved. And that's really all it takes for us. We have to decide to do better. But let me take the we out of it. You have to decide to do better. I can't do it for you. You can't make me make better decisions. Only thing we can do is try to serve as an example to each other. So either you're going to be the example of what not to do, or you're going to be the example of what to do. And more than likely, you're going to play both of those roles. I know I've played both of those roles throughout my life. But Satan is one of those things that we've been given such a misconception of that it allows people to take advantage of us. And I think it's easier for people to believe in this idea of a Satan being outside of ourselves because now we have a scapegoat. We can say, oh, well, the devil made me do it. Or the devil sure is busy. It's people making poor decisions, deciding to do evil things. That's why we have the troubles that we have. So, I'm going to read through this book and we're going to discuss it and see what we learn. And hopefully this isn't something that scares you away. Because remember, this is just information. Take and do with it as you will. But again, I just want to reiterate, and this book is going to do the same thing. You have the power to make the wrong or right choice. It just depends on what you're going to do. That's why God gave us free will, so we can exercise that ability to choose. But along with that ability to choose, you have to suffer the consequences of what you choose. Or you get to reap the positive consequences. So my goal is to share this information with you and it'll make it a little bit easier for you to make the correct decisions in life. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. And I'll see y'all in the next episode of Ron's Library and Ideas. Peace.